Alright, what's going on, guys? So today is going to be the final round-based map in Cold War Zombies full solo Easter egg guide. This is going to be in every single Easter egg step to complete the map Forsaken and do the boss fight. Now, this map is like less lengthy than some of the other ones have been in terms of like the amount of steps, but the steps themselves, I would argue, are like a lot harder. Like, it's kind of no joke of a map, and you'll sort of see why when we get into it. Of course, just please note that all of the steps are going to be the same whether you're playing by yourself or with any other amount of players. So this should help you get it done no problem. Now, this is already assuming that you are familiar with a lot of the basics of the map, like how to get around and like kind of turn on power, get pack-a-punch, stuff like that. If you're not familiar with any of those things, I have an ultimate guide linked in the description that will give you further information and sort of give you more general map knowledge so you know what you're doing when you jump in here. But this guide is going to be for people who know the map and just want to know how to do the Easter egg. I'm going to go as slow as possible to show everything necessary, but yet keep it as concise as I can. So if you guys do enjoy the video or if you find it helpful, please make sure to drop a thumbs up. That would be greatly appreciated. And of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure to go ahead and subscribe. That would be great. So for the bulk of this Easter egg, you can pretty much run anything like a shotgun or anything up close, but for the boss fight, I'm actually going to recommend this long range setup, and this M16 should serve you really well if you want to bring this in. I made that mistake not bringing this one, and I learned that the hard way, but if you bring this into the boss fight, your life is going to be so much easier. But essentially, all you need to do right when you start out and you spawn into your game, you just need to interact with the teleporter that's all the way in the back. The game will guide you to where it is. You can't really go anywhere without interacting with it, and you're going to get zombies for about 30 seconds as like a little mini lockdown. After that, you'll be able to teleport on to the next location, but pretty much just get your bearings and figure out the first couple of rounds. They're a lot more fast-paced than they are in previous round-based maps, so just be mindful of it. Now, go through the teleporter, keep moving through the town and going through every teleporter gives you until you end up in any town west, and when you're here, you're pretty much going to want to build the entire repair kit that can be found in your HUD, and all of the pieces will be found and they'll be marked like visually with an indicator telling you which room to look in. Now, they pretty much just have like one or two spawn locations, but all of the items that you need are outlined in yellow. If for whatever reason you don't know where to go to find these, head over to the teleporter in the back. It'll guide you to it at the back of the fuel processing like area of the map, and then it will show you visually on screen which areas to search, and literally just go in the room. They're really easy to find. The items like stick out like a sore thumb. They're absolutely no problem. There are a grand total of 4 items that need to be gathered, and of course you can check your HUD at any point to see how many you've gotten, and once you've got the 4th and final one, you can then head back over to the teleporter machine to actually go ahead, repair it, and put it back together. I also strongly recommend during this time to try to maximize as many points as you can in the early game, because it's going to allow you to progress through the map on such a low round, which is pretty crucial if you want to get this Easter egg done, as a lot of the steps, there aren't too many of them, but again, they are pretty difficult gameplay wise, which I'm a big fan of. But once the teleporter is rebuilt, you'll be put into the offices. You just need to go all the way in the back of the room, keep following the door until it takes you to the final teleporter, which the abomination that you'll first encounter will spawn out of. All you need to do is, of course, just take him out, and then the portal itself will not be available while it's red, and it has to be like the abomination needs to be killed before you can access it. And of course, just go ahead and take him out, and as soon as you're done with that, the step after this is actually what's going to separate doing an Easter egg run from like a casual run. So head through the portal after the abomination's been killed, and you'll end up in the observation tower. Then head over to the center console and interact with this red button that you'll be given a prompt for. And then right after that, you may immediately go to the back of the room and interact with this red button. Although it does not have a prompt, you can interact with it as soon as you lift the lockdown as well. And a cutscene in-game will begin to play. Now, this cutscene's pretty long actually, but it's just sort of setting up the like exact like situation of the map. So it's about a minute and a half. I'm not going to let it all play in this video. You guys can experience it in-game. You're going to get to it in like 5 minutes anyway, so I'll just let you guys experience that firsthand. So right after you complete that round, the next following one, these big purple Ethereum crystals will fall from the sky and land on the map. Of course, the first ones right here are on the storage rooftops. The second one are in the particle accelerator room or the amplifier room, and then the final one is back in spawn at this point. Now, you're going to notice that there's like 3 orbs floating around it. Don't shoot those. Don't even interact with them until you have the crystal axe, which if you don't know how to get that, I'll have a link in the description. But if you know how to get the crystal axe already, or you think you can get it out of trials or something, you can then take yourself over to the fuel processing unit and then start the lockdown. All you need to do is interact with one of those units on the side of it. If you're solo, just interact with one and the lockdown will immediately start. If not, all players in your game need to interact with it at the same time, and then it will initiate a lockdown that actually lasts for about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. It's pretty long, and it's actually pretty tough, even for being like an early round thing. So just be prepared for it. Have at least 1 shard of armor. I would advise going in with at least some kind kind of special is charged. Don't need to worry about doing anything too special here. I would recommend if you want to be ultra efficient, you can do one of your trials and work on it while there's a lot of zombies, especially ones where you need to kill zombies, which is absolutely like crucial in this one. But just survive the lockdown until the time is up, and then eventually it will be over, and then the piece that will fall in the middle off of the reactors will be the first piece to the Ethereum neutralizer that you're going to need. Now, interestingly, this piece actually needs 3 more components to this for it to actually work, but in order for you to even interact with those components, you need to have this base piece first. So get this out of the way as soon as possible. After that, the way to get the second Ethereum neutralizer piece, you're going to need to go in the boardroom and make sure that you have a Margwa spawned in. And now, these are capable of these dash attacks, and you need them to run into the wall using that dash attack with enough force that will knock down this sort of light with this device on it right here in the back right of the boardroom. And then once you pick up that like radio slash whatever like device it is, you have your second piece and you're good to go on that. I wouldn't recommend killing your Margwa just yet because you can actually make use of it if you're quick enough. But then in order to get your third piece, when you really want to, get a weapon with dead wire on it. It can be a gun, it could be a melee weapon, it doesn't really matter, although I do think guns are a little bit more safe to use in this category. Go over to the Grand Prix machine inside the arcade right next to this wooden table, and you essentially need to get a kill in which dead wire activates pretty much right next to this machine. And again, it can get a little dangerous because there's really not a lot of room in this area, and I'm going to recommend now that you have a lot of armor to do this, and you also have elemental pot because that will make the activations a little bit quicker doing this step. But once you get the dead wire to activate near this like wooden table slash the Grand Prix machine, you're going to see it actually light up with power, and then you'll be able to interact with this for 2,000 points using a special RCXD. This cannot be one crafted from the table. You have to use the one that it gives you at the machine, and then take this RCXD, take it like out of the arcade, go through this little tunnel here, and then take yourself over to the TV station, which is just across the street. And you just need to go over to this vent, and then as your R6D is just pulsing, go ahead and drive into this room, and there's really nothing much else you can do in here except kind of just chill out. And you can either blow up the R6D right now, or you can just wait for it to expire and the device will explode and revealing a hole in the wall. Right when that's done, take yourself over to the TV station where you just were with the RCXD, and then if you look immediately to the right, there should be a hole in the wall revealing the final monitor you need, and that's the entire Ethereum neutralizer device built. However, you're going to need a little bit of fuel for this, and the way to fuel it is through these like special catalyzed crystals. And now, those big Ethereum crystals are where they're going to come into play. Now, at this point, you will need the Crystal-Axe Wonder Weapon, or else you cannot continue. But once you've got it, you can do these in any order. You just need to shoot all of the orbs and break all of them that are flying around these crystals. Now, it's easier said than done, and honestly, this might be one of the steps that you struggle with the most. It looks like it's really easy just on video, but it's really hard hitting these, especially because there's absolutely no like aim drag on controller in order to track these. You kind of just want to use the SMG crystal weapon if you can, because it's rapid fire and it actually shatters the crystals pretty fast, especially when it's pack-a-punched. But once you destroy all the crystals, you can melee it with your axe. The entire unit will explode, revealing an ether shard. Make sure you take that ether shard with you, and if you have a Margwa, great, you can do the next step, but if not, no worries. Just work on getting all 3 of those crystals destroyed. The second one you can find is going to be in the spawn area or the staging area in this map. In my opinion, you kind of want to do this in the order that I went in this gameplay, because I think the hardest one is the one on the rooftops, the second hardest one is in the spawn, and then the least hardest is in the amplifier room. The reason you want to do it in this order, if you happen to pass a couple rounds, of course it's going to get more difficult on you. You're going to get the regular normal wave of zombie spawns on top of whatever it gives you for doing this like particular challenge. So destroy all of the orbs using whatever means necessary. You can use regular bullet guns, or of course you can use the Crystal-Axe SMG, which is probably a lot more advisable. But once you have a Margwa, go ahead and take that ether shard you picked up earlier and throw it into the mouth of the abomination, and then just kill it, and that's all you need to do. It will drop a crystal, leaving behind some fuel for that like large circular canister that we got earlier, and you'll know that 1/3 of it has filled up. So of course there's 3 big crystals, 3 Margwas, you get the deal. You just throw the shard right into it, and then you take it out, and you'll know you're killing the right Margwa when there's like a red tail on the back of it and you see like a mini zombie, and then you kill that, and of course just pick up the crystal. The final one you can do is of course in the amplifier room. Now, if you are really struggling with this step, a couple things I can recommend are use Gersh devices, monkey bombs, and also Ether Shroud and Frenzied Guard really helps, especially Frenzied Guard if you're playing co-op, because it will slow the onslaught of enemies down to a manageable pace where you can actually focus on destroying these orbs. And it also gives you a bit of a clearer shot into throwing the Ether Shard at the Margwa. If you happen to miss the Ether Crystal as well, don't worry. Unless you actually confirm it and you get the Catalyzed Shard you're supposed to get, it won't go away, and you can pick it up immediately where the actual crystal unit it always is. So don't worry about like losing it or anything as long as you get all of it done. You have pretty much unlimited time in the world, so take your time on this. It's not, you don't have to rush it too hard. Now, I would say after this and you've done your third and final crystal and gotten the last catalyzed shard, you're pretty much ready for the boss fight. Like, I know it goes by pretty quick. Like again, there's not a lot of steps, but a lot of them can be tricky. But just make sure that you're ready. You're not going to be thrown into the boss fight immediately, but you do have the ability to craft the Ethereum Neutralizer. Go back over to Main Street and then build the device itself. You can't interact with it automatically. It's got to warm up a little bit, but then it will literally tell you this is the point of no return once it's able to be interacted with. And as soon as you do that, then you've committed to going to the boss fight. Now, again, what I do recommend is at this point in the game, if you're still holding on to like a close range weapon or a shotgun, do switch it up for something long range like that M16 I suggested earlier. It's going to make your life a whole lot easier, but bring the Crystallox Wonder Weapon if you've got it, and if your team has anything like death machines or Gersh devices, long range bullet weapons will really help in what we're about to do. But before we get to the boss fight, we need to actually pass the final step here, and this is just getting through Main Street, staying in this like safe orb. So you can see the Ethereum Neutralizer device is going along at a slow pace, but it runs on fuel, and this will run out very often. So in order to replace it, there's going to be these red crystals on around the map that are really easy to see because the entire map is tinted in blue, and these are like a bright red, so like they're hella easy to see. But there's, I don't know, maybe 10 to 12 of them. You're going to have more than enough fuel to get to the station, even if you don't grab each and every single shard. But it is good if you're playing co-op just to have like people, you know, running in and out and grabbing all these and just keeping the thing moving. In solo, it's a little bit harder to do so because you're going to get a fair amount of spawns, and some of them can be up on the beams or like down low, like on your sides and stuff. But in all honesty, they're really easy to find. I don't think you have any trouble spotting them. The tricky part is grabbing the crystal and returning back to the bubble safely. But just take yourself, go the whole distance all the way down the path to the wall. You'll have one final chance to do anything like grab armor, upgrade, pack a punch, get perks, anything you need to do or anything you may have lost during that like escort step, you can replace before you go in. But once you interact with this big door in the back, you are committing to the boss fight. And I'm going to show you exactly how this fight works. It's not too difficult, to be honest, but it can be a little bit tricky if you don't know what's going on. So the boss fight essentially consists of 4 distinct stages, and the way that you initiate these stages, you need to first take down the Forsaken shield. He's going to have an overshield for 2 phases of this boss fight, and then he's going to have 4 essentially separate health bars. Now, there's 2 laser cannons on each side of Sophia, and all you need to do is essentially fill these up and make the laser cannons go online by filling up souls where Samantha Max's is. You'll just see like this giant purple area of effect, exactly where she's hovering over, and you just need to get a ton of zombie kills underneath these. The Forsaken does have a bunch of different ranged attacks, but you can pretty much hear them coming. They've got a lot of audio cues, so either you can move, Samantha Maxis may relocate to a different location to get souls, or you can just literally get behind the big Sophia box and you'll be just fine. But just watch out for the range attacks. Every time you hear something charging up, you can kind of just back away. But you need to fill up, I don't know, 20 or 30 kills perhaps in order to charge one of the laser cannons, and it will tell you on screen with an indicator that it's charged. Take that laser cannon and break his shield first before you interact with these. You can just fully take it down, and once these like either left or right shoulder is broken, you can take the laser cannon and destroy one of those shoulders. Do not try to do both at the same time, or else he will recover his HP. You need to focus on one entirely until it fully breaks. Once that's done, you're going to see that a big portion of his health has been taken down, and if it doesn't regenerate, that means you've done it right. And then, of course, you can do the exact same thing using the other laser cannon once you've filled up enough souls with Maxis. Again, rinse and repeat, do the same thing, and he'll be taken down to half health. Now, at this point, the fight is not over, and you're actually going to be taken out of the battle for a minute and put into, like, a mid-game cutscene. It's, like, not really a cutscene, but it gives you a thing where the Forsaken essentially tells you what's going on, and would you like to see how the rest of the story ends, pretty much trying to scare you. And you get this really interesting like setup where you're in just an entirely dark room and you see all of Requiem being put up against like this wall. A picture of Samantha Maxis graffitied on the stone. It says no one escapes alive. Bit of a cheeky Mob of the Dead reference right there. It's good to see. And then you're going to be teleported back to the fight, and he's going to have his overshield again. Now, you're going to need to take this down once more before using the laser cannons, and this is where I do recommend having that long range weapon or the death machines, or you can even use the SMG on the Crystallox in order to take that down quicker. Get close to him as possible if you want to do the maximum amount of damage with that gun as well. The last two areas that you're going to need to shoot on the Forsaken are going to be the head and also the body. And the attacks that the Forsaken puts out are going to be a lot more aggressive than they were in the first half of the fight, but it is the same situation. You just need to fill up both of the laser cannons using the Samantha Max's soul box, break the armor, and then do the exact same thing. Focus one fire on like just one area entirely. So at this point in the game, you kind of get the idea and you know what to do. And what I'm going to say from here on out is, spoiler alert, that I'm going to let the rest of the boss fight play out, and I'm not going to play the cutscene, but I am going to let you watch the ending of just like this entire cinematic in general. The cutscene is really long, it's like 5 minutes, so I'm just going to let you guys experience that in-game for yourself when you do complete it on your own. But otherwise, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I hope this guide was able to help you reach this point. If it did, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and make sure to go follow me over on Twitch, where I stream zombies quite frequently. Link to that's in the description. I'll see you guys over there, but other than that, enjoy the ending, and I will see you all in the next one. Take it easy, and peace out.
Phase is expanding. Make sure you wrap it up. We're getting reports of outbreak zones expanding around the globe.
You will not consume this world. Not as long as I am here.
Sam, whatever you're thinking of doing, don't do it.
I'm not a bad person, Weaver. I am a good soul. I know what I have to do. I'm sorry. This is the only way.
She's gone. Back into the dark ether.
The Forsaken is secure. Dimensional breaches are closing around the world.